Season 3 kicks off right in the middle of a Squid Game round. We see player 145 begging the guards to let him live, but they shoot him without hesitation. The guards bring a coffin into the center of the dorm. Inside it lies Gi-hun, unconscious and barely breathing. The players panic, rushing to pull him out and lay him on a bed, all of them clearly shaken. Gi-hun wakes up with dried blood on his face, shocked to hear that 35 players were killed while trying to escape. The memory of Young getting shot right in front of him hits hard. He just sits on his bed, frozen. The guards enter and announce that the prize money has increased again. Now it's 39.6 billion won, and only 60 players are still in the game. Gi-hun suddenly loses it, yelling at the guards and demanding to know why they let him live. He begs them to kill him and end his misery. The frontman watches it all unfold through the security cameras. Meanwhile, the captain of the boat, Detective Huang, is on, gives him a call, and here's the twist. He's secretly working for the game. The frontman orders him to slow down Huang's investigation, and if he fails, he's to kill both Huang and the rest of the crew on board. It's time for the players to vote on whether to continue the game. Gi-hun refuses to cast his vote. The others start stepping forward one by one. The frontman then meets with one of the remaining guards, instructing him to recruit new guards to replace those who died and to repair the facility damage caused by the escape attempt, especially since the VIPs are already on their way. The vote is finalized. The majority chooses to continue the game. The guards inform the players that the next round will begin the following day. The players start mocking Gi-hun. Some of them suspect that the whole escape attempt was part of his plan to wipe out as many competitors as possible. Player 44 walks up to him. She says he can't go a single day without hearing their voices in her head. But before she can finish, Gi-hun snaps and grabs her by the throat, choking her until her friends step in and pull him off at the last second. Meanwhile, in the operating room, a female guard arrives. She witnesses a horrifying scene as guards dissect player 246's corpse for organ harvesting. Without hesitation, she pulls out her weapon and takes them down one by one. Only one guard is left alive. She points the gun at him and demands that he treat player 246 immediately. The guard agrees, and now we're introduced to a new player. Gomja, the old lady who seems fragile and harmless, approaches Gi-hun quietly, offering him some food. We soon learn that both she and her son are players in the game. Her son, Young, leans over to Gi-hun and whispers that he saw player Daihua hiding ammunition during the escape attempt. This lights a fire in Gi-hun, who swears to take revenge on Daihua for what he did. Meanwhile, 4 days have passed, and Detective Huang is still at sea searching for the island. No sign of it yet. That's when Captain Choi comes over and tells him something suspicious. Last night, he saw Captain Park holding a screwdriver, and he suspects he might be connected to the game, but Huang doesn't buy it. He says Park once saved his life, and he trusts him completely, believing he'd never betray him. The next morning, Daihua wakes up and sees Gi-hun glaring at him from across the room. The tension is thick. Daihua gets up quickly, and soon all the players are gathered, ready for the next round of the Squid Game. On the way to the game hall, they're all stunned by the sight of players' bodies hanging in the middle of the room. These were the ones who tried to escape. The players are shaken, but Gi-hun doesn't flinch, still burning with rage, determined to avenge his fallen friends. Inside the game room, the players are told they'll be split into 2 teams using a machine that randomly assigns them red or blue balls. Gi-hun ends up on the red team. Back in the operating room, player 11, now disguised as a guard, points her weapon at the remaining staff and forces him to stitch up player 246's wound, threatening to kill him if he doesn't do it right. He finds out the wounded player needs a blood transfusion, and without hesitation, she decides to give him her own blood. Back in the game room, we learn that the next game is a deadly version of hide and seek. The blue team has 30 minutes to find an exit and hide, while the red team's mission is to hunt them down and kill them. But there's a twist. If a red team player catches someone and doesn't kill them, they'll be executed instead. The guards hand the blue team keys to open doors and escape. But once a door is opened, it can't be shut again. As for the red team, they're each given knives. It's a final chance for any player to switch teams before the game starts. Everyone looks around, terrified and uncertain what to do. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Huang finds a new driver who's willing to continue the trip, but he also notices that Captain Choi is missing. He calls him to ask where he went, and Choi replies that he won't be joining them any longer. We then see Choi at the docks. Getting into a car with a young man, he informs him that the boss is dead, and they need to act fast. Back in the Squid game, player 124 mocks Min-soo and his friend, pointing out that their buddy Vance is already dead, and now it's just the two of them left. Min-soo is placed on the red team, while player 333 begs Jun-ho to let her switch sides. She's pregnant and can't bring herself to kill anyone, but Jun-ho refuses, reminding her that every red team player is required to eliminate at least one person from the blue team. So he makes her a promise. When the game starts, he'll be the one she kills, just to protect her and the baby she's carrying. Meanwhile, Young pleads with his mother Gamja to switch teams with him. He wants her on the blue team so she can run and hide, since he knows she's not capable of killing anyone. At first, Gamja refuses, scared for his safety too. But in the end, she agrees, and they switch teams under one condition. He must find her once the game starts and protect her from the rest of the red team. Daehwa gets into an argument with Gi-hun, who blames him for ruining the escape plan. Daehwa is terrified now because Gi-hun is on the red team, and he's stuck on the blue. Right then, the game officially begins. The blue team starts spreading out and searching for hiding spots at the last second. Jun-ho helps player 333 switch outfits with a soldier. She hands him her red uniform and promises to stay hidden while he searches for her when the chaos begins. The blue team enters a strange-looking room with a high ceiling painted like the sky filled with stars. They're told they only have 2 minutes to hide. Player 120 quickly grabs Jun-ho and Gamja, guiding them toward a safe spot. Meanwhile, player 246 regains consciousness and quietly thanks player 11 for saving him, but she shoots the guard who helped her. She can't risk anyone revealing her true identity to keep 246 alive. She disguises him as one of the guards. The red team reaches the starry room and starts searching. Player 124, whose name is Namgyu, begins acting strange while talking to player 333. Myung notices something's off and decides to distance himself. Player 44 moves through the corridors with a few followers who see her as their leader. She waves her hands in the air, claiming that the gods are guiding her, pointing them toward the right path like a prophet. Jun-ho, Gamja, and player 120, whose name is Hyun, arrive at the same area and discover something strange. Each of their keys is shaped differently. One is a triangle, one's a square, and the third is a circle. Hyun quickly realizes that each door is coded to a specific key shape, so the three of them decide to team up to improve their chances of escaping. Elsewhere, Daehwa is trying to sneak out, but he gets spotted by Gi-hun, who starts chasing him. Gi-hun finally catches up, but he realizes the man at the bottom isn't Daehwa. It's someone else. He looks across the pit and sees the real Daehwa trembling on the other side. Frozen, in fear, the rest of the red team continues hunting. Myung spots player 235 and charges at him, but 235 dodges the attack and tries to defend himself. Just then, the two argue over who should get the kill, but eventually agree to stab 235 together, ensuring they both stay in the game until they kill someone else. In the next room, Saemin peeks out, terrified. He sees Namgyu's prescription pills on the floor and takes them to gather his courage and rejoin the game. Meanwhile, player 226 ambushes Jun-ho, but Hyun quickly steps in to protect her. They get into a brutal knife fight, and Hyun stabs him with his own knife, killing him. We cut to player 100, who's sneaking through the halls with his partner, player 232. They open a random door and accidentally walk into a room full of red team players. Player 100 panics and slams the door shut, locking 232 inside. Player 349, a ruthless red team member, quickly attacks and kills 232. Player 100 grabs 232's key and runs away. Jin-ho hears the name Myung. She feels safe because he promised to come save her, and Myung actually decides to search for her until he finds her, and Namgyu agrees to help him, but on one condition, that they kill anyone they find in their way. Because if any red team player doesn't kill someone, they lose the game. And we see Daehwa running from the red team with an injury in his leg, and when one of the players reaches him, Daehwa pushes him, and he falls off the stairs and dies. And Daehwa takes his knife, and meanwhile, Jun-ho is giving birth, and Gongja helps her deliver, and we learn there's only 15 minutes left before the game ends, and we go to Young, who's also looking for someone to kill to win the game too. So he enters a room and sees player 172, who tries to beg him to spare his life, but suddenly attacks him intending to kill him. So player 203 enters the room and kills 172, and Young gets nervous and quickly stands up, and at the same time, player 44 is still tricking her team and leading them to one of the rooms, and when she opens the door, she's shocked and closes it quickly, then runs away. And from the room come out Myung and Namgyu, and they kill her whole team too, and 44 runs to escape and bumps into Daihwa. Then they each go their separate ways, and afterward, 44 meets Gi-hun and tells him that Daihwa is limping and leaving a trail of blood, so Gi-hun leaves her because he only wants to kill Daihwa and starts following the blood trail. And 44 enters a room and discovers that the exit door is there, but it needs 3 keys to open. So she goes back to search for the keys, and player 100 hears a sound behind him, so he takes blood from a nearby body and covers himself in it, pretending to be dead, then wakes up and 44 takes the key from him, and he asks her what she's doing and finds out from her that she found the exit door. So he goes with her, and we see Hyun with Junho helping her give birth, and suddenly a red team player enters the room and Hyun attacks him. And they fight until they reach the exit room, and there Hyun grabs him and stabs him, killing him. And she sees the keys to the exit door and manages to open it. She goes back to take Junho and Gongja with her, and suddenly Myung attacks her and stabs her and is shocked when he sees Junho in front of him, and he calls Namgyu asking if there's anyone in the room with him, and Namgyu lies and says there's no one, and he locks the door on them, player 100, and he tries to open the door with the 2 keys he has, but fails because he's missing the circle key, so 44 uses her key, and the door opens, and suddenly player 100 pushes her and crosses alone and takes the key with him, so 44 gets trapped in the room and someone enters, and when he gets close, he sees Namgyu's silhouette and gets angry and stabs her, killing her. And we go back to Gi-hun, who tries to finish off Daihwa, and Daihwa apologizes for betraying him before and explains that he was scared and didn't know what to do, and suddenly pulls out a knife and attacks Gi-hun, and they fight until Daihwa escapes, and Gi-hun chases him until he catches him and strangles him, trying to kill him and take revenge, and Gong decides to take Junho and escape together. And they go to another room with an exit door and try to open it, and suddenly Young enters the room, and there's less than a minute left before the game ends. And Young tries to attack Junho to win the game before time runs out, but his mom stops him and asks him to kill her instead. But he refuses and pushes her away and apologizes to Junho, saying he'll leave her daughter without a mother. But Gong decides to sacrifice her son to save Junho and stabs him from behind. And Young is shocked that his own mom stabbed him. And his time in the game ends, and the guards appear in the hallways and see Gi-hun trying to kill himself. So they shoot the knife and then take Gi-hun with them. And they go to Young and shoot him in front of his mom because he lost the game, and the guards start collecting the bodies of the players who lost, and suddenly one of the players attacks one of the guards and kills him, then removes his mask, and turns out he and 3 others look different and speak English, unlike the other guards who are Korean and speak Korean. And a little later, Gongja enters the players' room holding Junho's baby, and everyone is shocked when they see the baby in her arms except for Gi-hun, who's zoned out and not interested in anything happening around him. And the guards enter the room and inform the players that 35 of them have been eliminated, and only 25 are left to compete for over 41 billion. And it's time to vote whether they want to continue the game or not. And we go to the frontman, who's sitting with 5 businessmen, and they're the ones funding the game. And it turns out they're obsessed with the idea of control and endless pleasure, to the point that they're happy they participated in the game themselves, wearing guard uniforms, and the frontman thanks each one of them, saying he's glad they had the experience, and the frontman replies that he's doing everything he can to give the best service to his clients. At that moment, one of the guards realizes that communication with the operations room has been cut off, so he tells another guard to go down quickly and check it out himself. We cut to Detective Huang, who's still stuck on the ship, unable to reach the island. He calls Choi and warns him about Captain Park, saying he asked around about him and found that no one actually knows who he is. Choi grows more suspicious that Park might be working for the game and tells Huang to keep a close eye on him just in case. Back in the players' dorm, the voting begins for the next game, and despite everything terrifying they've seen in this place, the majority still choose to continue. Gi-hun refuses to vote because he doesn't want to take part in this crime. He only came back to expose the people behind the game. The guards arrive at the operations room and find the bodies of their fellow guards lying on the ground and realize there's a traitor among them. Guard 11 gives room key 16 to player 246 and tells him to rest there, but warns him there are cameras in the room. The head guard, wearing a black uniform different from the others, reviews the surveillance footage and sees guard 16 in the room but notices 11 is missing. He calls them both over the radio and tells them to report to his office. Guard 11 was already there waiting for him and ambushes him the moment he arrives. He's shocked to learn that she's the one who killed the guards in the operations room. She tells him there's only one way he's getting out of this alive, by handing her the boat key, so she and player 246 can escape the next day. The head guard is confused about how she knows 246 and why she wants to escape with him, but he agrees in order to protect the people still inside the facility. Huang is still searching the sea and flies a drone toward a nearby island to check it from afar. As soon as he sees the island through the drone camera, he remembers the gunshot he took there before and realizes this must be the same island. When he reaches it, he recalls the moment he was shot by his own brother. Huang calls the support team through the radio, telling them this is the same island where he was attacked before and that the game island must be nearby. That night, Gongjia sees Young sitting alone, sad and lost, so she talks to him and comforts him. She tells him not to feel guilty because he reminds her of her son Young. She tells a story about how Young used to blame himself for everything, even if it wasn't his fault, and tried to take his own life several times, but she always managed to save him until the end. She asks him to help Junho and her baby. They all fall asleep together to rest. Meanwhile, Choi arrives at Park's house and sneaks in through the garden. He sees Park's dog barking at him, but ignores it, and enters the house, looking for any proof that Park is part of the game. Inside, he finds a photo of Park with the salesman who recruits people for the Squid game. Before Choi can leave, the dog bites his hand and he shoots it. He then notices something strange beneath the doghouse and lifts the cover to find a large stash of money and a guard uniform from the Squid game. The police arrive and arrest him for allegedly robbing Park's house. The next morning, the players wake up and are shocked to find Gongjia has hanged herself. The guards come and take her body away in a coffin. The head guard, who is guard number 4, realizes that guard 11 is deceiving him and trying to escape with player 246. He orders his assistant to track them down before they can flee the facility. Only moments remain before the next game starts, and the game's hosts are watching everything through the cameras. One of them, wearing an eagle mask, decides to bet on Junho. He's clearly drunk and says she's definitely going to lose because she won't be able to move while carrying her baby. He suggests making the child an official player so Junho will be forced to push herself to win or die trying. The others agree, and the game begins. It's a twisted double challenge where a boy and a girl spin a rope between them extremely fast, and each player has to cross a narrow bridge between them while jumping the rope. If they trip, they fall from a high place and die. Panic sets in, and no one wants to go first until Seaman refuses to give Namgyu his necklace that has his pills inside. Namgyu throws Seaman's necklace onto the bridge, and Seaman is forced to cross to retrieve it. But when he picks it up, he realizes it's empty and doesn't notice the rope getting closer. It hits him and sends him falling to his death. The players are horrified by his body on the ground, but Gi-hun steps up and tells Junho he'll take the baby and cross first, then come back for her since she can't walk properly. Gi-hun successfully makes it across as players and hosts cheer for him. He encourages the others to go too. Player 96 crosses but starts pushing others off the bridge to eliminate competition. Gi-hun tries to stop him, but 96 continues killing several players. Some players stuck halfway are too scared to go forward or back. 96 looks at Gi-hun and suggests they eliminate the others and split the prize money between just the two of them. When Gi-hun threatens him, 96 backs off and more players manage to cross safely. There are only 7 minutes left and Junho hasn't moved yet. Myung goes to her and offers to help her. She tells Myung he's a coward and a traitor because he killed her friend right in front of her just for money. She shows him her swollen leg and asks if he plans to carry her across the bridge. When she sees him hesitate, she tells him to stay away and not come near her again. Myung starts crossing the bridge too. He takes his last pill and pushes through the fear. As he crosses, he begins hallucinating and imagines the toy boy smiling at him. He gets scared but keeps going, and finally reaches the other side just seconds before time runs out. Gi-hun tells Junho to stay put and promises he'll come back for her. But she tells him not to return because he's her only hope to save her daughter. Junho cries and says she'll do anything to protect her child. She decides to sacrifice herself to save Gi-hun and the baby, because she believes he's the only one who can take care of her. She says goodbye and steps off the edge. Just seconds before the game ends, the game organizers then decide to make the baby player 222 in place of Junho. Although the idea is met with resistance at first, they eventually agree to add suspense to the game. The guards enter the players' room and inform them that 9 players will compete for the grand prize. The players are confused because they count only 8. The guard tells them the baby is player number 9. This angers them and they try to get rid of the baby, but the guard fires a warning shot and tells them to stay away, to celebrate surviving the last round. The guards hand out gifts, even giving the baby a bottle at the police station. Choi and the young man are questioned for breaking into Park's house. Since Choi has been evading taxes, he asks the detective for a phone call, but is refused. The detective calls Park to inform him about the break-in, and Park is already on the boat with Hwang planning how to reach the island. Hwang suggests possible locations, but Park tells him it's unlikely the island is nearby, due to storms and Coast Guard patrols just then. Park receives a call from the police. They inform him Choi stole money and a guard uniform from his house and is saying strange things about a deadly game on an island. Park denies knowing anything and thanks them for recovering his belongings back at the station. Choi gets angry and demands a phone call. As the detective brings the phone close for facial recognition, Choi grabs it and escapes. He quickly calls Hwang and warns him that Park knows about the break-in and might kill everyone on the boat. At that moment, Park enters the command room, contacts the second captain, and tells him he's been exposed and must eliminate the crew. Park grabs a rifle from the cabinet, enters the room where the crew is gathered, and opens fire, killing all but one. As he goes to finish the last man, he asks where Hwang is. The crew member points behind him. Hwang appears and shoots Park in the chest with an arrow. Park collapses. Hwang asks why he saved him before, and Park explains he was following the frontman's orders. Hwang doesn't understand who he means and asks for the island's location. Park refuses and dies back at the Squid Game facility. Gi-hun is dressed sharply and eating lunch but looks upset and distant. He's fixated on the baby, worried for her safety. The game organizers are concerned the players might quit since each one now stands to win over 4 billion won. The frontman assures them the players' greed will keep them in the game. The guards serve food to the 9 players, including the baby who gets a bottle. Gi-hun feels reassured and starts eating. Later, the players are told the final game is unique. They must decide among themselves who will lose, who will die, and who will live to win the money. At least 3 must lose, but they can choose more. The vote begins. Gi-hun and Min-soo refuse to continue, but 5 others agree. Winning by majority, the game will continue the next day. The investors are pleased that the frontman was right about the players' greed. The man with the fox mask asks if this really will be the final game. The frontman tells him not to get ahead of himself, and that the real game will be revealed tomorrow for maximum excitement on the boat. Hwang tends to his injured friend and confesses that his brother is on the island, but he doesn't know how to reach him. Unaware that his brother is actually player 1, the friend agrees to help, but they still don't know the island's location. Hwang remembers Park pointing to an area on the map earlier, claiming the island couldn't be there. He now believes that's exactly where the island is, and that Park was trying to mislead them back at the Squid Game compound. Player 11 escapes with player 246 by boat. The frontman contacts her via radio and tells her to return before it's too late. She refuses and warns him not to come after them. The frontman shows her a picture of player 246's daughter and threatens to kill the girl if she doesn't return. She changes course to go back. Inside the facility, the players begin discussing who should be eliminated. Gi-hun is the first target because many dislike him. They also pick the baby and Min-soo, reducing the number to 6. Each remaining player would then receive 7 billion when they all agree, and player 11 returns to the island. She tells 246 to escape alone and inform the police as soon as he reaches the shore because his daughter is in danger. But it turns out there's a tracker inside, and number 4 realizes they're escaping again. So he orders his guards to eliminate 11 and 246. Inside, Gi-hun goes to meet the frontman. He's confused and nervous, unsure why he's being summoned. As soon as he sees him, the frontman removes his mask. Gi-hun snaps and attacks him. Then, we find out the frontman is player number 1, the same man from Season 2. Number 1 offers Gi-hun a deal to stay alive with the girl and hands him a knife to kill the remaining players. Gi-hun refuses, thinking there's no point in killing him either. so he takes the knife and returns to the player's hall. He approaches the first player to eliminate him, but flashes back to a moment when he too was offered a knife during a previous game to kill others and win easily. In the present, number 1 watches closely, waiting for him to do the same, but just before he strikes, Gi-hun sees a memory of player 168 crying and begging him not to kill anyone because he's too kind to do such a thing. Guilt overwhelms him, and he backs off the next day. 11 enters through the ventilation shaft and reaches number 4's office, but she senses movement at the door and hides quickly. Meanwhile, Hwang is still out at sea searching for the island. The frontman contacts him over the boat radio, warning him to stop investigating or he'll be killed, but Hwang refuses, saying he didn't come all this way to turn back, and dares him to try and kill him face to face, then cuts the call. Back in the office, 11 points her gun at number 4 and forces him to delete player 246's profile from the system. She's doing it to save 246 and his daughter from execution. Number 4 complies but plots revenge. When he tries to move, she warns him she'll shoot, since the file on that device is the last copy. He reveals there's a paper copy in the frontman's office and that only he and the frontman can access it, so she makes him lead her there. They ride the elevator, and suddenly, number 4 attacks. They fight viciously until they reach the office. The elevator closes with the gun inside, so they brawl barehanded. Number 4 stabs her in the stomach and realizes the new game is about to begin. He opens the monitor to watch it. 11 crawls to the elevator, retrieves the gun, and shoots number 4 dead back in the game. The players prepare for the next round. They ride the elevator to the top floor for a game called Squid game. The rules are brutal. 3 towers shaped like a circle, triangle, and square. And on each tower, at least one must lose and die, while others survive by choosing who gets eliminated. Everyone's nervous. No one wants to die. They begin considering sacrificing the girl and Gi-hun. At that moment, someone looks over the edge and sees a hallucination of his dead friend Thanos, begging for help. Then it turns into Namgyu grabbing his leg. He panics and beats the vision away. Memories shift between Namgyu and Minsu. In that moment, Myung suggests eliminating Minsu first. They agree and move toward him, but no one wants to push him for fear of falling too. So Myung grabs a metal pole in the center and pushes Minsu off. As Minsu sees a vision of his dead lover, smile, he falls to his death, ending the first round. Then they move to the triangle tower via a small bridge, with only 15 minutes to decide who dies. The organizers watch from a glass window. Player 353 grabs the pole and threatens Gi-hun, saying he'll throw the girl off if he doesn't comply. Gi-hun warns him that once the girl is gone, he reminds 353 that he could be next. So 353 panics and returns the pole. Elsewhere, a group of guards still chases player 246 on the sea. They fire at him but miss every time. Then he stops his boat and 2 guards approach. He tells one he lost and must die. Suddenly, Hwang's ship arrives. He shoots and kills the guards, saving 246. Back in the frontman's office, 11 tries to shred 246's paper file to erase his existence from the organization as if he never joined. Back in the game, the players decide to get rid of Gi-hun by tricking him with a fake draw. He offers to do the draw himself. Player 336 hands him paper, but Gi-hun realizes they made a rope out of their suits. He pulls out his knife and cuts the rope, threatening to throw 336 off the tower. 336 begs for mercy and admits they forced him to do it. Myung sneaks behind Gi-hun and suddenly screams. Gi-hun dodges and Myung falls off the tower. Later it's revealed Myung intended to kill 336 because the girl is actually his daughter. He wanted to start a new life with her and Jin-ho after escaping, after their fight. He chose to protect his daughter at all costs. Gi-hun is believed by the others after they recall him offering to help Jin-ho in the jump rope game. He tells them he'll now fight to survive. They beg him to give them a chance to find a solution and propose another draw. He refuses. They grab player 39 and beat him as the weakest link. Player 100 explains the plan to Gi-hun. They only need to eliminate one more person to end the game. They want 39 to be the scapegoat, but Gi-hun refuses and says if they really want to draw, do it fairly. Whoever's name comes up will die. The others panic and refuse. Player 203 attacks Gi-hun and they fight until Gi-hun stabs him to death. Myung defeats 353 easily and throws him off the tower. They see player 100 celebrating. Myung glares at him with disgust and Gi-hun pushes him off too. Terrified, Player 39 realizes they'll use him next and throws himself off to escape his fate. Now only Gi-hun, Myung, and the little girl remain. They stare at each other, shaken and unsure of what to do. Meanwhile, Hwang speaks with 246. Mistaking him for a guard, 246 tells him everything. Hwang scans him and sees his ID is truly 246, realizing he was a player. 246 points to the island location, and Hwang decides to go arrest the game organizers. He jumps into the sea alone while leaving his friend and 246 to alert the Coast Guard back at the facility. 11 burns all the player files, bleeding and dying. She reads her own file, and we learn her name is Newell. She sees a picture of her daughter, who died young. She breaks down, wishing to see her one last time. In the game, Myung plans to sacrifice Gi-hun as the final step. He crosses the first bridge holding a metal pole and tells Gi-hun to stay on the second tower with the girl. If time runs out, Gi-hun will die and the girl will survive with her father. Gi-hun hesitates, asking who Myung will sacrifice in the last round. He suspects it will be the girl, so he refuses to hand her over and tells Myung to cross quickly before time ends. Myung refuses, so Gi-hun leaves the girl on the bridge and returns to the triangle tower, grabs the knife, and at the last second jumps to the final circle tower. Gi-hun and Myung fight fiercely, knocking the metal pole down. Myung grabs the girl and stands at the edge, threatening to throw her off if Gi-hun moves. Gi-hun drops the knife and pleads with him to let her go. Myung releases the girl, picks up the knife, and attacks, stabbing Gi-hun's shoulder. But Gi-hun pulls the knife out and fights back. Both fall to the floor. Gi-hun grabs a metal rod from the tower, and Myung clings to his jacket to avoid falling. Gi-hun tries to save him, but Myung slips and dies. The organizers announce that Gi-hun is the winner, making history as the only player to win twice. But Gi-hun realizes he didn't press the start button earlier, meaning one of them must still die to end the game. He activates the final round and prepares to jump with the girl to save her from this miserable life. He looks at the surveillance cameras and addresses the game organizers, saying, "These players are not animals. They're human beings, and their deaths shouldn't be entertainment for the rich." Though he's lost hope in life, he decides to spare the girl, leaves her on the tower, gives one final look at the place, and jumps to his death, sacrificing himself to save the life of a child and successfully completing his mission. He manages to save the little girl, and the game ends. The system announces the girl as the sole winner of all the money because she's the only one still alive. Meanwhile, number 11 finishes deleting all the files and was planning to end her life by jumping into the fire. But at the last second, she changes her mind, puts on a guard's uniform, and escapes with the rest. At that moment, Hwang arrives at the island hoping to stop the game and arrest the organizers. But the frontman detects his approach and orders the guards to execute the escape plan, activating the island's self-destruction sequence with only 30 minutes left before the island explodes and the Squid Game disappears as if it never existed. He then heads to the top of the tower and takes the little girl right before the explosion. Suddenly, Hwang is shot at and realizes the front man is actually his brother. He's shocked, unable to believe it. Hwang escapes the facility at the last moment and jumps into the sea. Later, we see a mysterious person entering a dark room with a gun in hand. He opens a door and finds a massive amount of money inside. 6 months later, Newell visits player 246 to check on him. He's now working as a street artist in Korea, but he doesn't recognize her or even remember her face. He keeps asking if they've met before. She tells him she used to work in the area and knows everything about him and his daughter. She only came to check on them and leaves before the drawing is even finished. In her car, she receives a call from someone she had hired to find her daughter. We learn that her daughter didn't die, but is simply lost. The caller says someone saw her in China, so she decides to travel the same day. Hwang goes to the prison because it's the day Choi is getting released. He picks him up to take him home. On the way, they mention that all the money Gi-hun left in the hotel was stolen, and no one knows how since only Hwang, Choi, and the now dead Gi-hun knew about it. Hwang returns home frustrated, having lost all the money, but as he enters his house, he's shocked to find the little girl inside. With her is a small envelope containing a card saying she won the Squid Game and a credit card. Hwang takes the card and checks the account. Guessing the password is Gi-hun's Squid Game number, it works, and he discovers the card holds over 45 billion won. He celebrates, knowing the money is back, and he can raise the girl and reopen the hotel with Choi and Kim. Later in Los Angeles, we see In-ho knocking on the door of a house. A beautiful girl named Jae-young opens the door. We find out she's Gi-hun's daughter. and she clearly resents her father for never checking on her or calling. He gives her a small box filled with Squid Game toys. She thinks it's just a gift from her dad and gets annoyed that he suddenly remembers her now. She tells him she doesn't want anything from him and is about to close the door when he tells her the box contains her father's belongings. Ja-young is stunned, takes the box, and opens it. Inside is Gi-hun's Squid Game suit and a small black envelope containing a credit card. She runs out to catch up with In-ho, but he's already gone. We see him in his car, looking out the window and spotting a beautiful woman wearing a suit, playing a game with a homeless man on the street. If he wins, he'll be recruited for the next version of the Squid Game. And we realize this woman is the new recruiter, replacing the one from Season 1. And with that, Season 3 comes to an end.